Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of Art Side of Life, where I chat with inspiring artists and create various art-related videos. My name is Eva and my guest today is Nic Gregory, and in this episode you will learn how he moved in his mid-30s from Australia to LA to pursue his dream of working in animation and what helped him to do it.
So the best tip I can give people is go for your goal. Things will get in the way, but they do it even when you're doing nothing. You could be sitting on the couch. Something weird's going to happen one day. You might as well be going for a goal. That things will still try to stop you. So yeah, you've just got to keep pushing through it.
Nic is a background painter and visual development artist, born and raised in Australia, having a career as a graphic designer, professional wrestler with his own action figure, and hip-hop musician. After that, Nic decided to move to LA and work in the animation industry. He has worked with clients such as Disney Publishing, Cartoon Network, Think Well, and his first full-time role at Rough Draft Studios. Nic is also teaching plein air classes in different galleries and with the Walt Disney Family Museum. So please welcome Nic Gregory, and let's get to the interview. Welcome everyone to the next episode of Art Side of Life, and I'm super happy to have Nic here. Hi!
Hi, how are you?
Good. And we just talked a bit before the recording that, I'm jealous about the sun in LA now. So, but let's talk about your background and just jump to some of your background stories. Like, how were you creative as a child? And maybe when you, how was it when you decided, okay, I want to be professional in art?
Sure. I have very vivid memories when I was a child of loving animation because my dad used to watch it. He's a big kid, and he still is. So I just remember growing up with like Looney Tunes, the Nickelodeon cartoons, what else? The Flintstones, like the Hanna-Barbera stuff as well. And it just seemed like there was just this world of characters, like a never-ending supply of artwork and amazing stories. So I grew up with that. It was every Saturday and Sunday morning and every afternoon after school, you come home and that's what you'd watch. And then I remember maybe around between like the age of 10 and 12, my grandmother took me to an art gallery, which I was amazed by seeing all this artwork for the first time, like framed pieces and paintings on the wall. And then what happened was I went home the next week and I saw Fantasia, the Disney film, for the first time. And it hit me that the artwork that I saw on the wall at the gallery was now coming to life. And for me as a kid, I knew that was magic, like someone had done magic on a screen. And that was one of the first, it's probably the most vivid memory I have where artwork meant something and I felt something from it so heavily, not just like looked at it as a story or something as like sidetrack me. Seeing Fantasia, that was huge.
Was it more like the story of Fantasia or the colors of the painting you saw in the gallery, or was it like a landscape? Or what was the biggest emotional connection there? Do you remember?
Yeah. I'm glad you asked that. Yes, I do, because I think most people get attached to a story. For me, it had nothing to do with story, because my favorite part of that is the abstract piece, where it's just like the music's being played and like the pastel artwork is kind of moving. And you see like little bits of silhouettes of like the violin and other instruments kind of flying through and just shapes and patterns. So for me, it was a big thing because I had an emotional attachment to the artwork I saw on the wall, and I didn't need to know the story. So it had nothing to do with story. It made me feel something. And I think that's kind of unique. Like even now I know story is king and everybody says that, but I like the fact that my first biggest influence was just about the feeling I got from looking at colors and shapes and that. It was a nice experience, and I think about it all the time that I got to enjoy art that way instead of just looking at it as a story. Not that that's bad, but now I can look out the window or I can look at a piece of artwork on my wall, and if it doesn't tell a story, I can still enjoy it.
Good. I'm still similar in this aspect, I think, because I'm really inspired by colors. I think stronger than the story as well, so I totally understand.
Oh, good, yeah.
And so how was it from that point, and maybe which were kind of the biggest turning points which got you where you are now, and if you have some stories in between, you can share how did you get there?
Sure. There's a big chunk of my life from around 18 years old to about 5 years ago when I was like early 30s, 32, 33, I think. So what happened was I had to decide after high school, what do I do for a living? And one of my teachers was very nice and said, okay, if you want to do art or animation, that's great. You have to be passionate for it, and you'll have to travel a lot around Australia because the jobs aren't just like in one city. So I was like, okay, that's a bit nerve-wracking. And then she said, but graphic design is a bit more dependable. And I think a lot of artists have heard that before. So I took that. I thought, no, I want to pay my bills. I want to be able to get a house and all that stuff. So, and she wasn't like pushing me in any way. So I took graphic design, and I got offered both courses at college, animation and graphic design. And sometimes I look back and I think I regret that a little, but it led me down a very different path. I don't think a lot of artists have the stories that I have, which is cool. So the next step for me was graphic design for a few years. And as I got kind of a little bored or a little settled in that career, I sidestepped into something I'd loved since childhood, which was professional wrestling. So I just woke up one morning and I thought, I like comic books, I like wrestling. Why can't I pretend to be a superhero in a wrestling ring for a while? Yeah, it makes sense. So, I went to a school and I started training on the Gold Coast in Australia. And 4 months later, I was a professional and they put me in matches. And I had, I think, 5 years I competed on and off in the ring. And a few years after that, I was like a manager character where I go out and I yell at the crowd and help another guy kind of get over and make him popular or hated. So that was my job. So 8 years in total. I met my wife through that as well. She was a wrestler too. So it was
cool.
It's a weird and different story. I haven't met anyone in animation that I do now that has anything like that. Like everyone's got something different, but that's very unique, and I'm glad I've got that experience.
And did you have like a training, like, I don't know, 2 times a day, 3 times a day when you were like on the professional level, or how much time did you spend on it? Did you have time to draw at the time as well?
Yeah, I did. I'd always been drawing, even with other side steps, which I'll tell you about. Artwork was always there. Like I was always doing fine art for many years. Probably about 10 years I was entering competitions. And my favorite medium was charcoal. So it was just black and white for a long time for me. Okay. But yeah, artwork was always there. And I tried to make it a part of every career I had. So even with the wrestling, and I've told this story before to people, but when the scene in Spider-Man, the first Spider-Man movie they made in the late 90s, I think, when he's drawing his outfit and he's like planning what he's going to look like, that exact scene happened to me. So I'm sitting in my bedroom and I'm drawing what I'm going to look like. I've got like a mask shape and everything. And so I'm always trying to find a way to put drawing and artwork into whatever I do. And I just know I have to be creative. So yeah, I was always doing art. And I put it into my wrestling as much as I could. So then what happened, pardon me, then what happened after that was I always loved hip hop music. And I'd been doing that on and off too, and I'd been producing it for other people, and kind of doing my own music, but I never wanted to like MC and rap in front of a crowd. Like I thought, I'm not going to be good at that. So one day a festival came through my area, and I decided I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm going to get on the stage and do my music because no one else was going to help me do it. And I'd never said a word like of my lyrics or sang or done anything or rapped in front of someone ever. And I put an application in, I recorded a song in my bedroom, and next thing you know, I've gone from graphic design and wrestling, and now I'm doing hip-hop music. And yeah, I got on stage and I did like a 30-minute set, and over the course of that day, there was like 10,000 people. So I was nervous getting up there, and I remember like choking on the water that I had just before I got on stage. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to do this. And I just did it. And that was one of my favorite memories, because since then I've been kind of fearless in anything I want to do. Like when you get that nervous about something and then you just do it anyway in front of that many people, you realize things aren't that scary. Like it doesn't matter even if they hated it. How did you overcome that fear before going on the stage? You know, because some people are like really shy or kind of afraid of crowds, and when you are just there, it's like someone pushed you, and then you're like, okay, I'm going, or it was just like, okay, if I don't do it now, then never. I think maybe a bit of that. Like if I don't do it now, it might never happen. I don't know how I'm driven like this, but I feel like when I get nervous about things is when I'm the bravest about things too. Like usually I feel like some people might say I'm nervous, so I'm going to step back or I'm not going to do something, and then they might regret it. I'm the complete opposite. Like I get nervous and there's like another person behind me just going, I'm going to push you off a cliff, see what happens. So I just walked on the stage. I'm literally choking on the water I drank. I couldn't really talk, so I'm trying to like yell out these words to get my voice ready to get on a microphone. And I just started doing it. And I was nervous the whole time. Like right until I finished, I just felt butterflies. I felt like I was going to be sick, but I still did it. And I've tried to remember that moment forever. So, it could push me through other things.
And how did you get back to art, or kind of going more to the animation industry route?
Yep. Well, I after the hip hop music and the wrestling had kind of slowed down, I decided, like, I'm sitting in a graphic design job still. Like, I'm still doing that on and off. And then I got let go when the GFC hit, the global financial crisis, and a lot of people lost their jobs. And at that moment, I didn't care. And I thought to myself, I don't ever want to lose a job again and not like have tears or be sad for a day or a week or something. And I just realized at that point that the thing I've loved and thought was the hardest thing to do. Like I've done all these crazy, stupid things. And the hardest thing for me that I thought was like having superpowers was getting into animation, was following that art career. So yeah, when I got let go from that job, I thought, stop procrastinating, stop thinking about doing it. Just have a go. And yeah, early 30s, I'd be doing art all my life, but it was now when I took it seriously and thought, I need to study, I need to find the right people to study with and just start gradually learning. So it's now been 4 or 5 years since I kind of pushed to be better at animation art, and just tried to get to America and get a new career.
And how was the move for you, and adjusting to the new town and maybe the culture, and how did you do networking when you moved?
Yeah, that was a big learning curve for me, because coming from Australia, all the jobs I've gotten and all the jobs I know friends have gotten, you just apply online or you apply directly with a resume or a folio, and they just pick the best person interview for the next stage and then the best person for the job. Whereas coming here to the entertainment industry in LA, I had to learn real quickly that you had to network and you have to know the right people and go and make friends, because everyone here is creative and they're fun and they want to work with their friends. So I learned that quick, and within 2 or 3 months, my wife and I were going to all the events, going to all the gallery showings, which is a good thing. It's a lot of fun. And we met all our friends that way. And it's so true. Those people are the ones that can help you get work and also just achieve a higher level in your art. So that was a big learning curve. And just getting here was huge for us too, because for 2 years I'd been trying to get the visas to work for me, so to apply for jobs and get that going. And it just wasn't happening. And then one of my friends who's a professional wrestler had won the green card lottery, which not a lot of people know about, where you just apply because America wants a certain amount of diversity here, like a certain percentage of each culture, which is incredible. I don't think any other country does that. So we applied for it first year thinking we're not going to win, but we might as well start applying. And we won first year applying.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. So that meant straight away my wife and I, on that one winning visa, could come over here and we got a green card. And I thought, in my head, that's it. That's the hard step. Like, just come here, keep getting good at art. But the process took a lot of our time, a lot of money. We lost a lot of money on our house selling that at the wrong time. And it was a big thing. It took about 2 years, the process. So finally we get to LA and we set up a new life in our mid-30s. And it's like being 18 again. We had to get a driver's license. We had to find an apartment. We didn't have credit history, so it was kind of like we didn't exist when we were trying to buy things and get things done. So it was really tough. Like, we went through all our savings. We were down to about $200, I think. Wow. And we were days away from going, that's it. We gave it a shot and we need to go back home. So we made it work. We just kept believing that we could do it. And the green card helped. It got us here. But it was a big step. It was like I said, being 18 again. We had to start all over.
And so when you were kind of in this like adjusting period and like, okay, have you felt like, did I do like a good choice and like it's not working yet? And, like when do I find the first job or this kind of thinking, were something like this going on through your head?
Oh yeah. I'd say the first 3 months in, when we got down to like a little bit of money left, um, there's those questions of like, well, we've got a safety net of our families. So do we just call them and go home? Do we just cross our fingers that we'll get work and keep applying for jobs? And so we got scared then. And then like a year in, things still weren't happening for me. I was just getting freelance work. I'm still studying and trying to get better at my work every day. And there was another point where we're like, okay, like, is this meant to be? Is it going to happen? And even 2 years in, it still was hard for me. And I've been here 3 years last month now. So 2 year mark, I'm still thinking, like, is it going to happen? But I'm, like I said before, I'm that type of person where I stick with it. Like when it's nerve wracking, I still go ahead and try it. So I just kept believing that as long as I keep practicing my artwork and meeting the right people, which is just as important, it'd happen. And it finally did in the last year. But yeah, I kept sticking with it, and we went through so many weird times, and I had some health problems, and my wife had a few things, wrestling injuries we've had in the past too creeped up. Yeah. So many things tried to stop us from continuing this, but we just kept doing it. And I'm glad my wife stuck with it too. She's as strong as I am with those things. So.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah. So the biggest takeaway would be like just keep going and keep learning from this experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if someone asked me for like the biggest tip on wanting to make an art career, it's just keep jumping the hurdles. Like if I wasn't trying to be an artist right now and I was back home just doing graphic design, even though I'm just paying the bills and trying to have a career just doing something that maybe I don't like, there's still going to be hurdles. Like I'm still going to have a health problem now and then, or something's going to happen to a family member. Like there's going to be a problem that gets in the way whether you're going for a goal or not. So the best tip I can give people is go for your goal. Things will get in the way, but they do it even when you're doing nothing. You could be sitting on the couch. Something weird's going to happen one day. You might as well be going for a goal. The things will still try to stop you. So yeah, you've just got to keep pushing through it.
That's true. And so how did you approach the learning, when you said like, okay, I'm drawing every day, do you go to sketch classes in LA, or do you study also online, or just drawing outside, or which are kind of maybe your activities?
Yeah. When I first started the process, like when I was like, okay, I got let go from the job, you've got to get better. The first thing I thought was I have to find the best artists that are working. So I didn't think go back to college or anything. Find people that are doing what you're doing. So I think the internet like courses and studying was kind of still new then, like 5 years ago. So I found the Oatley Academy, Chris Oatley's course, and I was part of his first course. So I think it was like the first 6 or 10 people or something. And he just left Disney. So he had all this energy and all that knowledge and his own creativity. And I got to feed off that for like this 10-week course. So I woke up at 3 a.m. Once a week, and then I like worked every day for that. And things kind of started rolling, and I understood a bit more about the industry and how things work, and I picked his brains. And because that went so well, I've had this this thing where at least every year since then, I take at least one course. So I save some money up at the end of the year. Once January hits, I find what I want to do next, and I take an online course because anyone can do it now. Like I can just do it on my phone like I did for Chris's. Like I sat there in the dark and in my pajamas and watched a phone and learned all this stuff. So every year I do that now. And then like the little things I do on top of that, I go outside and I plein air paint quite a lot because I like color and backgrounds. And that's amazing. Like you don't need a teacher for that. Just go outside, things will start sinking in. So I do that regularly. But I'm not an everyday person. I'm not one of those people that goes, I have to sketch every day. Some people will tell you you should, and maybe I should, but I like getting out. I want to see the environment before I paint it. I want to experience something before I think about a story. Yeah. So that's part of my artwork process as well. Like just put all the pens and pencils aside and and go outside and see things and live your life a little.
And
So, yeah.
and when you paint with is it gouache or oils, or what do you use outside?
Yeah, I use gouache mostly just because convenience of taking it out. It's easier than having the setup for oils. And then I like using soft pastel.
Yeah.
Not many people do. I don't meet many people that take it out and you do it for like plein air. But I feel like that's just a point of difference. That's why I do it. And I love getting messy. Like I do it at home too, and my wife hates all the dust. Yeah, it's terrible. And I did it once back home in Australia when we had a house there. And I had the air conditioning going all day, but I was using red. So it went through the air conditioning system.
Oh, no.
And we could see it everywhere. It was on the floor. We saw it on the bottom of our feet. So, yeah, she hates that.
Perfect. So your whole art, the house is like artwork, basically.
It was. Yeah. And I had to clean the whole thing.
Oh, perfect. Do you have like a favorite brand of the gouache or pastels?
For gouache, I like the Winsor Newton for the darker colors. I'm not sure why that is, but I've just noticed that for like violet, which is my favorite color to use, particularly for LA, it's a better brand for the darker ones, like the blues as well. And then for the lighter colors, I really like the cheap stuff. Like just find the cheap stuff that's kind of a bit more watery, a bit more like a softer texture. And I like using that because then you can see your underpainting come through it easily. So yeah, the cheap stuff for the light colors. Winsor Newton's pretty good for the dark colors. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure why, but it works.
I think they have quite nice variety in like the color tones in those darker colors. At least I think when I tried, I kind of noticed that there is like really big difference going from really dark to light when you use like water, I think. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree actually. Yeah, they're good, vibrant colors. You can get a lot of effect out of them. Yeah.
Yeah, and and you mentioned also the pastels. Do you have also some favorite ones, or not really?
Not really, but I do that on purpose because, like, there's some good. I like the Rembrandt one for like the softness of it. It just kind of crumbles apart, and it's beautiful and powdery. But I'm one of those weird people that I like seeing my mistakes in my artwork. So if I get a really bad piece of pastel and it cracks badly or it doesn't like spread properly on the page, I enjoy that. I want to see all these accidental like mistakes come through. So I'm one of those people that sees a sale and buys like a $3 box of pastels, and they're terrible. But I'll enjoy like just smashing them up, and maybe I'll mix water with them or mix paint with them and see what happens. So I like using the bad stuff too. Yeah.
And
whatever I see.
Yeah, definitely, because it's like irregular and then it looks more creative as well.
Yeah.
Before we continue, let's take a little break, because many of you have been asking me about recommendations for different tools and resources to help you out with many different things, like studying, finding inspiration, overcoming artistic block, managing your time, and freelance. So I decided from now on, in the episodes, I will share with you some of my favorite things which help me a lot, and I'm sure they can help you out too. So let's go take a look. So the first one is Audible, which is the largest audiobook store out there with more than 100,000 audiobooks. And I love listening to stories and learning from books, and even if you are not a book reader, this is a great way to get the knowledge and advice from books just by listening. It would be a shame to miss out on all the great tips if you just don't like to read. I usually listen to audiobooks while I'm traveling, doing housework, or painting. It's very relaxing and I learn a lot. What is awesome, you can get free 30 days trial, which is like getting free books. So try it out for yourself and go to artsideoflife.com/audible. The next one is for all the freelancers and studio owners out there. It's called FreshBooks, and it's an invoice and accounting software that is super easy to use and significantly cuts your time needed for invoicing, getting paid, tracking expense, time tracking, and making proposals. Great part about this is that with few clicks you can export all important data for your tax declaration too. And you can get a free trial 30 days to test it out for yourself too. So go to artsideoflife.com/freshbooks. The last one is trusted house sitters, and as you maybe already know, I love traveling to refresh my inspiration and avoid art blocks, but my budget doesn't allow it so often. Fortunately, I discovered Trusted House Sitters website, where you can do the pet sitting and live for free like a local. I love dogs and cats and all kinds of animals, so it's great win-win. In this way, it's only about buying a flight ticket or travel there by car. Accommodation is for free and you can have great fun with animals, and you can also draw them and practice your animal anatomy skills. It also works for those of you who have pets and are looking for pet sitters to be able to travel. So check it out at artsideoflife.com/THS. You will find more artistic resources, tips, and tools used by me or mentioned in the interviews at artsideoflife.com/resources. So go check it out. And just to let you know, some of the links are affiliate links, which means I will get paid a small commission if you decide to purchase through them, but at absolutely no added cost to you. And in this way, you get a chance to support Outside of Life, which I really appreciate. And now, let's go back to the interview. And so when you mentioned that you go also out to paint and you do also different freelance jobs and stuff, so how does your normal day look like? Kind of like how many hours do you still draw, and maybe do you do something daily which contributes to your success, like meditation or sports or, I don't know, walks in the nature?
Sure. Okay, so my daily routine would be, I'm mostly freelance, even though I've got a full-time job now and I work most of the year full-time. Mostly freelance. So when I get up in the morning, I've got an opportunity to take it a little easier, and I take advantage of that if I can. So I go out on my balcony, I look at my view, and I try to just clear my head a bit. And I'm not one of those people that gets up early at like 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. and like powers through a couple of hours of work. So my day would be, I get a rhythm going. Like, I'm not a quick starter, but once I get that rhythm going after about an hour, I can just plow through anything. So that's how I work. But I make sure that I get up a lot. I make sure I move. I roll my neck all the time because of all the injuries I have. And I try to tell everybody that now, that you get told to move, you get told to stretch and all that stuff, but it's so important. Like, so many artists are experiencing problems with their necks and their wrists now from working like hunched over the Cintiq, or being in their sketchbook all the time, and it's not good. And I think we're all going to experience some troubles with our bodies if we don't sort of sit up straighter occasionally and stretch. So I do yoga a lot as well, just to make sure I'm flexible. And yeah, that's kind of my routine. Just, I get in a rhythm in the morning. I work better at nights. I make sure I paint at least once a month if I can. Like, sometimes I can't, and then I can paint every weekend or like 2-3 nights a week, then I do it. But I've just got to feel in the mood for it too. Like, and just, if it hits me, I make sure I paint. Like, if I think I haven't painted in a while, I literally just pick everything up. So it's a random kind of day, but I definitely start slow and I finish really strong.
And when you work for a client or studio, then it's a digital work mostly, or do you also work traditionally with them?
Yeah, it's predominantly digital. I think, pardon me, I think maybe I've done like 2% of my work ever as traditional, and that might be like putting a scan of a sketch or like a painting background or something into a digital piece. But it's pretty much digital. Like, the stuff I do for Disney, it looks traditional, but it's also digital too. And I get it too. It's easy for them to send the files around, and a lot of companies use freelancers now, so it's just easy to send that work between people quickly. So yeah, it's pretty much all digital.
And do you have maybe also some tips about the social media, or because you also mentioned that, yeah, you were networking like in real life, but did you do some promotion of yourself on social media, or it was mostly physical networking?
Yeah, I'm not heavy into like really pushing on social media, but I really do believe that you need a presence and you need some regularity. So if you're one of those people that can do every day, then go ahead and do it. Like, take that energy and put it into social media. But for me, I try to do at least once a week, like Monday to Wednesday, when everybody's like, I see the art people are online, post your work, show people what you're doing. So that has been helpful. I got work last month because of that, just by showing something every week and letting people know that I am working, even if it's on personal projects. That's a huge thing. If you're doing something, if you're going to sketch at a cafe, let people know, because it shows that you're working and you're finishing things, and that's really important. And when someone can sit on their couch or in their bed and look at their favorite artists, or see that like you're working on something, they don't even have to like it or interact with you. But trust me, people are seeing that. So social media is really important. And whenever I go to like a networking event or a gallery showing or just meet friends, people are always like, "Oh, you're Nic Gregory. We're friends on Facebook or something." And like, people will follow you and they'll remember you. So I think it's really important to have a presence there, even if it's just a little bit. Yeah, it does help.
Definitely, yeah. And your go-to platform is like Instagram or more Facebook, or what do you prefer?
I put a lot of effort into Twitter a few years ago, and I did really well on that. But I feel like for me, I've got 3, and it's all for different reasons. Twitter seems to be good if I want to be a part of something that's happening. So if you want to like hashtag something and like there's an event or like a fan art thing is happening, Twitter's great for that. If you're building a network of people you've actually met or you might know in your city or something, Facebook's perfect, because I think it's a little more personal. You can talk a little more openly because people can be private on there. And then if you're an artist, you have to have an Instagram. So just for seeing what people are doing, like actually just seeing what they're producing, Instagram's perfect for that. So for different reasons, I have each one of those. And I try to put the same stuff on all of them, but occasionally if I just want to interact and tell friends and colleagues that, you know, I'm looking for work, Facebook's perfect. If I just want to show off what I've done, Instagram's great. If I want to be a part of something or an event, or like people doing their Christmas sketches, then Twitter. So I've got all them for different reasons.
Oh, perfect. And what about the events you go to? We met at the Designer Con, right? But you also went to CTN. And do you have like other recommendations for events people should check out? Or gallery openings as well?
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, if people are in LA, or even if they're not, go find your local gallery, because the likelihood is, if you wanted to get into animation or comic books or sci-fi art or fantasy, everybody is an artist, and they're good artists, and they're good just because they can create probably any type of art. So just go to your local galleries. You will meet people that are in other industries that might just be looking at fine art on the wall or abstract art or something. So yeah, I tell everyone, go to the little events where there might be 20 or 30 people in a room. You're going to make friends, and you're going to meet someone that'll teach you something you didn't know. So I try to get to like the CSG gallery here, Gallery Nucleus, Pop Secret Gallery. There's a whole bunch of other ones that I don't even know the names of, that I just randomly go to with friends. And then for events, CTN's my big one for each year, just because I know some people might have trouble with organization of it, and that's just every event. But all the animation people are there. So if you want to work in animation and you want to be able to meet people and network properly, you have to be at that event. And that's my favorite. And I do well there. And each year my goal is to come out of that with, I guess, a step in another door. So maybe it gets me work. Maybe it just lets me meet some new people. And then that leads to something else. And it was also the way I made all my friends when I moved here. We moved here the month of CTN, and it's a great thing for that. There's no other event like it where everyone's kind of ready to be friendly and mingle in that way. Other events, DesignerCon was good. That was my first one this year where I met you.
Oh, really?
So I'm glad I went. Yeah.
Perfect.
It's great for people that want to make products or turn their artwork into something physical. And I think if you do that, if you're turning your characters into like sculpts or something, you have to go to DesignerCon. That thing's amazing. But I've also done WonderCon as well. And I know people tell me it's like a little bit of a less crowded San Diego Comic-Con. That's what it's like. But that's perfect if you've got something that fits into that world of, I guess, like fan art, or you're mashing things up, or you're doing something that's going to get someone's attention with characters and stuff. I found it was different in that way. It wasn't just about showing like animation arts for CTN, DesignerCon's physical things. You needed a good character. You needed some sort of fan type attraction at your table at WonderCon. So I'm going to try it again next year and do a few like sort of mashups of things with like wrestling characters and animation style characters and see what I can do there. But they're all a little different, but they're worth going to. If you can save your money up every year and go there, you meet 1,000 people. And that's what I feel like I'm paying for when I get a table. Not to sell my stuff, but to meet all those people like yourself. Yeah.
And when you went there first time to CTN, did you have a table right away, or it was more just mingling and walking around to like different workshops and talking to people, and then the next year table, or how did it?
Yeah. The first year I went was just to see what it was like. It was the first year when I started studying at the academy, and I thought I heard more about it from some friends through that. So I was like, okay, I got to look into this. I read about it, thought it's worth going. I flew over here, and as soon as I experienced like the first day, I realized that it almost didn't matter that. I don't know if this makes sense, but it didn't matter that the event was on. It just mattered that all the animation people happened to be in this one spot at the same time. And I knew that was special. So that first year, I knew on the first day that I'd come back the following year and table. So I have ever since. I think this year was my fourth year. And yeah, it's been invaluable. It's such an important event for animation artists.
And so when someone is more shy maybe, and if they go to this kind of event, do you have maybe some tips how to start talking with other people? Because I was thinking like maybe in the queue when you are waiting for maybe portfolio review or something like that.
Yep.
Do you have other experiences how you met people around you?
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. I'm not shy when it comes to talking to people because I've done so many things with like the public watching me. So, but I can tell other people are, so I'm happy to get them into a conversation. And usually I just start it by not talking about what they're nervous for, like waiting for the portfolio review or waiting to see their favorite artist. Like I might just look at a piece of artwork and just start a conversation with, oh, look at that thing on the table, or I love your t-shirt. Like everyone's got something weird on their t-shirts. And, just something personal, like it might be the way a person looks, like I like their shoes or something. So yeah, I just go talk to people like honestly, and then usually pretty quickly it'll roll into an art talk. Yeah, and like I said, I'm not afraid of that. I used to do that with fans at the wrestling all the time, so that's easy for me. I feel sorry for people that really have to push to do that. It's a hard thing. I get it.
To learn that, right? Yeah. And so, and if you think about like the whole art career, like until now, is there something you wish you knew before you started?
Oh, there's a lot. I wish I knew a bit more about how the industry is, I guess how the job positions are built. And I know it's different for each company, but it almost felt like when I got here, it was like a secret. Like there was like this like group of people that were just keeping it secret from everyone. And you know that like character designers exist, you know, background artists exist, but each company is slightly different, and that information was hard to come by. You had to meet people that worked in those jobs to tell you how the job worked. I know the industry keeps changing too, so things are different slightly every year. But I wish I just knew the jobs, because then I could have focused more. And I wouldn't have spent so long trying to figure out where I belong, because I tried character design first, and you know, I got freelance work doing that, but it wasn't my thing because I didn't understand exactly what happened with background in each company, or environments, or matte painting, stuff like that, which I feel I'm suited for. So I wish I just had maybe delved a little more, or when I met the right people, asked those questions. Because if you know where you can end up, then you know exactly what path to take. Like you can do it easier. So that was a problem for me. Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit more about this? Like what something you found out, you know, like you didn't know, like this is interesting, or
yeah. So coming here, like in my head, I knew character design, I knew background painters exist, background designers, and visual development, and that's kind of as far as my knowledge went. But I didn't know that, for instance, say at DreamWorks, you could be a visual development artist, and they might put you like where your specialty lies. But then you can also try other things. Maybe when that show might wrap up, or if the work's finished there, you can step into other things and help out in other ways because you're a VisDev artist. It doesn't mean they don't have people that are just specialty in character design, but in that role you can do that. Whereas it might be different for, I worked at Rough Draft Studios. Like your role is very specific. So if you're a color stylist, you just do the color styling. If you're a background painter, you're just painting over the top of the designs. And then, for instance, if you go to feature, if you're, say, Disney feature, as far as I know, if you're VisDev, you will have a specialty, but then there will be chances to push into other areas and help out when needed. So to have that knowledge when I moved here and know that if I liked the idea of VisDev and moving into other areas, maybe DreamWorks or Disney feature might have been something I just focused on, like laser vision. If I wanted to freelance more and get a chance to be at home and work that way and like have one specific goal, Cartoon Network might have been good just to be able to do that because they hire a lot of freelancers. You get your one role and that's what you do as well. So to know what works in each company, that was the hardest part. And now I kind of know. It makes it a bit easier. So I hope if anyone's watching this and they heard those things, ask those questions of people, and then you know where you can aim for a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. So you can define your goals better and like learn those things you need to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it doesn't hurt to like have a roundabout way to get somewhere. Like that's been my whole life, but it's nice that when you go to focus, that you can pick your target. Like you know where you want to end up. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And let's talk about maybe your current projects, something you know, like you can share, which is maybe not confidential, or something which you are looking forward in the future. Sure.
I've been experimenting with a lot of different types of art, not just like doing 2D things in painting and drawing. So, and I think you remember from DesignerCon, I did this evil queen from Snow White. I did a lightbox display of her, like a
that was
stained
amazing.
glass window. Thank you. So I'm trying to, every time I do my like new course for the year, I'm trying to see if I can push myself to do other things, tinker with electronics. I tried like pulling apart an animatronic bird that I found to figure out how it worked. And I want to try animatronics there. I want to try things with lighting. So my next projects are probably going to have things like sculpts and laser cutting. And my dream gallery showing is to have a beautiful modern gallery, have a dark room, but everything has lights and has animatronics moving through it.
Oh, cool.
It's a huge project, and I'm only just starting now to think about that. But having done the Evil Queen window, I know it's possible and I can do it now. I've got a rough like idea of how much it'll cost. So I feel like maybe a 2-year plan, I might be able to put something together and just have this experience where people come in and kind of like the feeling I had when I watched Fantasia, they can walk into my artwork. Like that's something that's really cool. So that's my main project. And then I'm also thinking about putting together a pitch for an animated TV show, which is the first time I've ever thought about doing that. A lot of friends do it, and I'm like, if they're doing it, I might as well give it a shot too. So yeah, I've got some ideas for that.
Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, because also, as you mentioned, the kind of the experience of the gallery and stuff, it's really popular nowadays, right? And also there is the Instagram kind of house museum. I don't know if you heard about it. I think it's in LA, where you can just come there and then take pictures with the colorful background. So people just love experiencing colors and lights, as you said. So yeah, that sounds like something which would be super popular.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it would go outside of just the animation crowd that I would probably usually attract because, I know people there. I think it would get regular people in that just want to see, nice colors and something different. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting that ball rolling and seeing what happens.
Oh, perfect. Then I will be definitely there. So I'm looking forward to see that. And what about like a 10-year plan kind of thing? Do you have like a dream scenario which will happen in like 5 to 10 years? Would it be mainly this gallery dream light scenario, or are there like more things you want to do?
The gallery thing, like, not to make it sound small, but that's like a side project. I have pretty big goals. And I always tell my wife this too. I find this hilarious that I tell her what my goal might be. Like, for instance, getting to America. I said to her, it's a 10-year plan. In the back of my head, I knew it would be 2 to 3. I didn't know how. So that's how I work. So whenever I get a 10-year plan, I figure out how I can do it in 2 to 3. So what I'm hoping to do is keep getting experience on the shows that I'm working on. So at once now, I'm working for 3 different companies, and I want to take all that experience I'm getting really quickly and keep doing different things, keep not just doing background painting and stuff, but all the different areas I can. And I'd like to think maybe one day I can do art direction or make a short film. I want to put it on like the competition scene in like the awards and stuff. And that's a big goal for me, is get my own work out there. And I can't animate, but I'll get some help and I'll figure out how to do it. So that's a big goal for me, is produce something. But ultimately, like I think like most animation artists, at some point you've all probably thought, oh, I want to work for Disney feature. And that's still a goal for me. I think that's always going to be in the back of my mind, because it's like the childhood thing. I love Fantasia and the artists were there, so I want to experience that myself and produce something with them. And I think that, well, I know that'll happen. It's just a matter of time. Like I have to just keep working at it. And so that's probably in my 10-year plan, if I have to look at it that way. So if I can produce something in 10 years and have like an animation out there, help produce a show, art direct, something like that, I think that's my major goal. Along the way, all the projects, they'll just happen. I always do those.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that sounds really good. And what about like super far future? And what would you like to be remembered for in like 100 years or more?
That's an easy one for me to answer. I've thought about that my whole life. In like 200-300 years from now, because I look back at like artists that I remember from hundreds of years ago, I want to be one of those people. And I'm not talking like a name like Leonardo da Vinci or something. Like I don't expect that, but I want to know that I produced enough work, traditional work, things that people can hold in their hands, and know that, you know, when my time's up on this planet, whether people have it or not, I just want to know that it's good enough that someone will at least appreciate it and it'll be around. Like in 200-300 years, if that's when I get famous, then so be it. I don't care about that, but I just want to know that, like, well after I'm gone, that artwork is still precious to somebody, and it makes someone feel something that's the same way I did when I saw art for the first time when I was a kid. So that's always my goal. Like I have career goals, but if in 200 years from now someone's looking at a traditional piece of my art and it's in a gallery, that's probably the best thing that could happen for me. So yeah,
some like emotional connection with the art.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
perfect.
I hope that happens.
yeah, I'm sure of it, definitely, because you are like really driven and like, okay, I will do this.
Yeah, I'll keep aiming for it.
Perfect. And before we say goodbye, maybe you can share last piece of advice and or key takeaway, and then we'll slowly finish.
Sure. The key for being goal driven and just having, if you have a dream for something and you want to achieve it, it's as simple as just say you're going to do it. And I know it sounds weird to say this, but you don't have to believe it at first either. Like I didn't believe that I could do any of the things I've done. And what I just told you now in the last hour is half of what I've done in my life. Like there's some weird stories. And every time I thought to myself, I can't do it, but I'm still going to do it anyway. And I think that's something I hope people take away from when they listen to me talk about what I've done. It's just, if you have a goal, just try to do it, and stuff will get in your way. Like straight away, things will get in your way. Just jump over them, because stuff's going to get in the way of life, even if you're sitting on the couch, like I said. So you might as well be going for a dream or a goal. And it doesn't have to be big. Just pick a goal and just say you're going to do it. And that's it.
Perfect. I'm so inspired. I should go back to work and draw some more. So thank you so much again for being here.
That's okay. It was a pleasure. Thank you, and keep up the good work. I love listening to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. That is definitely makes me so happy that I can inspire others with all these talks. And
definitely.
Yeah, it's super cool. And thanks everyone who joined today as well. And see you in the next episode. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, because I post new videos every week. I would be also super happy if you let me know your thoughts in comments and give the video a thumbs up. You can find all the resources mentioned in this episode at artsideoflife.com. Just type a guest name in the search bar. There is also a couple of free artist resources ready for you. So if you want to listen to the interviews on the go too, make sure to check out the podcast at artsideoflife.com/podcast. Continue to inspire each other, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!